I thought Gustav was just like a hell of a guy. He was going up to guest rooms, making sure they were good, doing inspections. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like making sure that they were all good and everything was satisfactory.
Well, he certainly was. You're not wrong.
and I don't know. I thought like genuinely thought they were just friends. So I was like, why would he think he murdered her? It was just like friends. And then I realized. I was like, oh, that did in fact happen.
And now time for The Viewing Room with Adam and Ethan.
Welcome to The Viewing Room, where we talk about films new and old, local and global. Today we're talking about the Grand Budapest Hotel, which was released March 14th, 2014, with a budget of 25 million USD, which sounds wrong, given all the heavy hitters in this film.
Yeah.
But I guess...
Cast is huge.
Yeah, like, I mean, you have our main characters, Ralph Fiennes, and you have Tony... How do you say his last name? Is it like Cavalori?
I don't know.
He's the guy that plays Flash Thompson.
When I was reading it, I was like, it took me a few tries to get it sounded out in my head, and I never said it out loud. So I'm not going to try it now.
So Tony K is who that guy is. He plays Flash Thompson.
That's way better. Tony K. That sounds cooler than Tony Calamari or whatever it's supposed to be.
Adrian Brody, I'll throw in there as Dimitri.
Yeah, Jude just won the Oscar for Best Actor. So
we got some heavy hitters. Willem Dafoe's in it. Bill Murray's in it, right?
Owen Wilson.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of stacked. Not gonna lie. $25 million. It grossed $174 million at the global box office, making it Wes Anderson's highest-grossing film to date. Pretty crazy. When I think of Wes Anderson, the first film that comes to my mind is probably Fantastic Mr. Fox.
I feel like that is for a lot of people.
I mean, come on. I actually feel like I don't have the information on how much that grossed, but it is interesting to me how like this grossed more than that one, right? Especially since I feel like this one has maybe some darker tones that we'll get into compared to that one, right? And I don't know. I feel like it's less versatile for audiences, but it's still a great freaking movie, man. Like I enjoy it. Directed by Wes Anderson. Do you have anything to say before we like get into it?
I don't know. I mean, I think we'll talk about everything that
Have you seen it before?
This movie I had not seen before. No.
You had not. Okay, I had seen it once before. Yeah. Probably 2 years ago when I was in.
Well, I mean, I remember I've seen clips from it, and I remember Peters, Mr. Peters, high school film class. He used this movie for some of his lessons. So I'd seen a lot of stuff from it, but I hadn't actually watched it all the way through.
Nice. I did run into Peters in Edmonton when I was there.
You did?
I did. I don't know if I told you that.
No, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
We need to get him on for an episode.
Yeah.
Peters, if you're watching, we want you on for an episode.
Listening on Spotify, Audible, or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, really.
Yeah.
Is that good? Was that a good plug? Good plug? Yeah, okay. I'll read a synopsis. In the 1930s, the Grand Budapest Hotel was a popular European ski resort presided over by concierge Gustav H. Zero, a junior lobby boy, becomes Gustav's friend and protege. Gustav prides himself on providing first-class service to the hotel guests, including satisfying the sexual needs of the many elderly women who stay there. When one of Gustav's lovers dies mysteriously, Gustav finds himself the recipient of a priceless painting and the chief suspect in a murder. So, maybe I'm dense.
Yes. I don't even need to hear your justification. Yes.
Like 3 years ago, I definitely didn't pick up on like the whole satisfaction element. I just thought like, I thought Gustav was just like a hell of a guy. He was going up to guest rooms, making sure they were good, doing inspections. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like making sure that they were all good and everything was satisfactory.
Well, he certainly was. You're not wrong.
and I don't know. I thought like genuinely thought they were just friends. So I was like, why would he think he murdered her? It was just like friends. And then I realized. I was like, oh, that did in fact happen. But oh well. That's all I had to say about that
As long
one.
as you get it now,
Yeah, sure.
Do
you? No.
Why did we just go in and out of focus there? Oh, you moved. That's why. Okay.
I did move. I was moving my hands. I was moving things. We're still getting used to it. You may notice that behind us, if you're watching on YouTube, we don't have any lights behind us anymore. And that's because someone disemboweled them heinously.
I texted our expert light untangler, but she was unavailable.
Yes.
Something to do with school. I don't know why school would take importance over our famous podcast. World famous, in fact.
Yes. Apparently nursing was like more beneficial to the world.
I don't know.
I couldn't understand.
I signed my first autograph over the weekend, or last week actually. So.
Yeah, it's like that when your grandparents live out of town. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we can go right into a plot.
Let's do it. I feel like the plot in this is surprisingly simple for
Story in a story.
Well, yeah, it's like Russian nesting dolls.
That's a good analogy.
Because, like, I don't know. It's just like, you start out with, like, this lady looking at a statue. And then the statue turns into a real person. And then the real person goes to his younger self and learns the story of the hotel. It's like... Yeah.
Well, we meet Zero when he's older, I guess. What's his name? Is he just Zero when he's older?
Mufasa. I don't know.
Yeah.
What is his name? It's like
Mustafa. Maybe.
Or is it Mufasa? I don't know what it is. Let's look it up.
We're professionals. This is really professional.
Name to remember, and they don't say it because he's referred to as Zero for like the entirety of the movie.
Right. It's basically all you need to know is it's the owner of the hotel, older gentleman. He spends a week there every now and again, and he is referred to as Zero throughout the film by Ralph Fiennes' character and everyone else. But
hold on. I need to find this now.
This isn't professional at all.
Yeah, Mr. Mustafa.
Okay, perfect. Also known as Zero.
Yes.
Because he has zero friends, zero family, zero experience.
Yes.
And not a lot of particular skills.
No, I wouldn't say he's a particularly skilled worker either.
Well, in the eyes of Gustav, of course.
He becomes. Right. He learns very quickly.
Yes. So basically, we meet the hotel owner, and he's like, okay, I'm going to tell you guys a story about basically rags to riches, how I became the owner of the Grand Budapest Hotel. Very luxurious, fantastic hotel that seems to be kind of falling apart nowadays. It's like kind of...
There's not very many guests. It's
no guests, not a lot of workers. It's kind of old. Maybe not as fancy as it once was.
Yeah.
But when you're the owner of the hotel, we see a lot of the other people because everyone wants to talk to the owner of the hotel, and he spends a week there every summer, I guess.
Yeah,
that's kind of how that works. Anyways, basically, we learned that as a kid, he met Gustav, got a job at the Grand Budapest Hotel, and basically Gustav made him like his protege, right? Like he's going to train him and teach him how to be the best lobby boy in the history of lobby boys that the Grand Budapest had ever seen, from someone who was once
the greatest lobby boy.
Yes, or concierge or whichever.
He started as a lobby boy.
Yes.
He said from someone who was once, now he's become the greatest concierge.
Yes. Hi, Gary. Wow.
Nothing? I was really hoping to get a react. You guys.
Wow. No, that's cool. It was a great commercial for Ozempic. So basically, like I said, he becomes his kind of protege. And Zero, who, kind of a tragic character, and we'll kind of get to that too.
Yeah.
This is all of the flashbacks and stuff with the different aspect ratio and whatnot are very positive, almost dreamlike sequences with bright, vibrant colors. The very definitive Wes Anderson look, but it is very dark for what like it's supposed to look like. You know what I mean? The context doesn't match like what's been wrapped around it. You know what I mean? But we'll get into that, right? So basically, Zero and Gustav are learning and growing together. Zero is kind of learning all the mannerisms of Gustav and gradually like picking up on all of them and executing them as if they were his own ideas. You know what I mean? He even when Gustav's not there, he's kind of like, oh wait, like he knows the process and can kind of he's kind of been handed the torch almost. He's not making much money or doing anything like that. He's just really there for solid work in a more illustrious age of the Grand Budapest Hotel. It's a very prestigious, awesome hotel. Maybe not what we saw, I guess, what would it be, 60 years later or whatever?
Probably about that, yeah.
But, Yeah. So, I guess, what's the next best thing I guess we'll just lead right into the murder, honestly. Yeah. That's probably the best thing. So, someone close has died to Gustav. They're also lovers.
Yes.
And she's very wealthy. Obviously, she stayed at a very prestigious hotel for a long time, long enough to be serviced by Gustav.
Service. That's a very good way of putting it.
Yes. Where all your needs are met. Yes. And so he goes to the funeral, and basically we find out from the family lawyer that, like, hey, this inheritance is going to be going to Dimitri and the daughters and a few small gifts to people around. And obviously Dimitri, played by Adrian Brody, is very excited, very happy because he knows he's going to be very wealthy, having this estate and several properties and whatnot. And we find out, though, that the most valuable possession is the boy. It's called the Boy with Apple painting, right? And it's not going to Dimitri or anyone in the family. It's going to Gustav. What?
Yep. And they don't even know who he is.
They don't know anything about Gustav other than like, he was a friend or something like that. And this isn't good at all, right? So Dimitri's very upset about this. It's kind of a little bit of an outrage that some random guy is getting this. And frankly, as far as everyone knows, right? Not that their actions are justified, but as far as they know, a random guy walked in with no relation to the family and got something, and it's not even that bad. This is a man who was technically making money off of this woman for the longest time because she was paying for his services in the hotel. Yep. Kind of interesting thing. Now, he was offering something in return for those services, whatever. But she was technically paying him. It's like an employee in a way, right? And so, very interesting kind of dynamic there, but he inherits the painting. Now, there's kind of some blood out for Gustav and Zero, who's with him, because like, this guy doesn't deserve this. We need to get him out of here. And the lawyer is not really with that because he's like, but like, this is literally your dying wish, guys. That
lawyer is kind of a funny character in a way, but like at the same time, it's a good character because he just sticks to whatever is legally right the entire time.
It's the first time Jeff Goldblum has had a character that's reasonable in all of cinema. It's the first time Jeff Goldblum was the most level-headed person in the room. That's how effed up Dimitri and his family are. But basically, the whole family's out for blood for Gustav because this Boy with Apple painting is worth millions, priceless, and we need to get it, right? and make sure he doesn't get it, and make sure that he doesn't get anything out of this because he doesn't deserve it, even though that's not legal at all. Anyways, they would be so rich anyways. That's like kind of funny too.
Yeah, like when you get the whole house and all the fortune and everything, just let him have the one painting. Like just greed.
Yeah, exactly. But basically, Gustav steals the painting because, he doesn't technically steal it because it's his. But he grabs the painting and runs off with it, which, as we know,
and puts up a different painting in its place.
Yes, a very sexual painting. And, I mean, running is considered an admission of guilt, technically.
But not if you've done something legal.
O.J. Simpson?
That's a terrible example.
No, but...
Because the glove didn't fit.
Don't start. OJ did it, and you know it. We both know OJ did it.
He wrote a book called If I Did It.
That's all I need to know. Frankly, I'm sorry, but OJ did it. If you saw the news reporter clip where she's talking and she's like, yeah, after we finished the interview, OJ had his idea of pulled a prank. It was his idea of a joke, and she opens the closet or she opens the door to the hallway, and OJ comes in with a pen going. Literally doing that, making this sound, and she freaks out and screams, and that's the end of the interview clip. And yeah, his press tour after he was acquitted, that's the shit he was doing. Dude, OJ did it. OJ did it. I'm sorry. Sorry, Juice.
So horribly racist.
What? 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 No, dude, I don't know. OJ did it. That was definitely, he definitely did it.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't done enough research on it.
Yeah, dude, I actually just watched a documentary called what was it called? It was,
If I Did It.
it was on Netflix. It just came out on Netflix, I think, and it was just something about the trial and everything like that. It was 3 or 4 episodes. It was really good. Yeah, he did it. I've seen a ton of OJ stuff because I've actually found it very interesting how he got out. But yeah,
I like true crime stuff for sure.
He definitely did it. Not a good documentary was The Staircase, but we're kind of getting off the top. It was 14 episodes, I think. It was really good. That's enough OJ Simpson talk. Who definitely did it? But basically, like I said, running kind of an admission of guilt, whether you agree with that or not, right? I think,
but I don't think in this case it is because he was legally entitled to it.
It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? If I think how it's perceived, and at least how I perceive it, you're innocent till you're proven guilty. You know what I mean?
Yes, you're innocent until you're proven guilty.
But if if a cop comes over to you and's like, hey, dude, can I ask you a question? And you immediately bolt in their direction. What's the first
That's a
thing?
terrible example, though.
What's the first thing you think?
Let's take this. Okay, so a cop walks up to you and is like, hey, can I ask you a question? You're like, sure. And he's like, have you been drinking and driving? And you say, no. And the cop's like, okay, do you mind if I do some field sobriety tests? Do the test. He says, okay, you're good to go. And you run away. Are you guilty? No, because everything you did was legal. And it was all perfectly legal. Just because you run away from a legal situation does not mean you're now suddenly guilty of something.
No, but I think it's no. It doesn't mean you're guilty. I'm saying it's interpreted as such. You know what I mean? And he runs from the cops in this thing that eventually leads to his arrest.
Well, yeah, because that's different.
Again, you get less of a chance to defend yourself, in my opinion, if you run than if you don't, because people are like, oh my god. They're obviously going to find me guilty. Here's the thing. This is the dumb mentality. If I stop and they're gonna make sure I'm guilty, right? So I'm just gonna run. But
stop being Croker. Use the mic properly.
You know what I mean? If you stop and let them catch you, right? Maybe you're guilty. Maybe you're not. But if you run, they're still going to catch you.
He runs because
they're still going to catch you. They're still going to catch you. It doesn't matter. They're still going to catch you. And so when he runs away with the painting, basically that solidifies to the whole family who was already out for blood, basically now he's really stolen it and ran away from it because we couldn't go ahead with any legal proceedings. They weren't going to go ahead with any legal proceedings anyways. Was it the right thing to steal it? I mean, probably. Like, he probably made the right call just running away with it. But, like, it didn't work out for him. It wasn't going to work out for him no matter what. I think he just went to jail because he you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was legally his, he still went to jail for it. Why? Because he took it and ran.
Yeah, but he shouldn't. That's not a crime.
Right.
So he shouldn't have gone to jail.
But,
he did, but he shouldn't have gone to jail.
Yes, but he did, is what I'm saying.
But he shouldn't have.
No, he shouldn't have. But that's why I mean. It's interpreted when you take something and you start running away with it, it's just grounds for more trouble. You know what I mean?
Sure, but not in this case.
It's exactly that in this case.
No.
Because now the family's like, oh yeah, he took it and he ran with it. Which is basically like the whole grounds for the cops to be like, oh yeah, he stole it.
No, they just told the cops, yeah, he stole it, and they didn't know any better.
But you know what I mean?
No.
If it was still in the house.
Yeah, but if it was still in the house, then he wouldn't have had his painting.
He's in the will.
Yeah, which
he was
just going to.
Well, then they destroyed that. Then they destroy the document.
Exactly. So that's the only way he gets it.
Well, the actual way he gets it is we'll talk about later.
Yeah, but that's the way he thinks he gets it at that point.
Yes. Okay. He goes to jail. Spends a little bit of time in jail. He becomes friends with a lot of the inmates because it's like a weird Paddington situation where people are like, yeah, I just kind of dig with this guy. And literally dig. They take spoons and start digging to get out of prison. And with some help of Zero and his wife. He has a wife now. Kind of skipped over some of that stuff, but it doesn't really matter because
I like Saoirse Ronan.
She doesn't last long.
She lives.
They died to the flu or whatever.
Well, yeah, but she lives through the movie.
Well, kind of. She died like literally with their baby. Like, really sad. This is where I'm talking about where it's really tragic because Zero's character is kind of really tragic.
Yeah.
Anyways, they escape. They break free. They find the painting again. And they're like, okay, we're going to have to sell it or do something with it through, I guess, how does it end up at the Grand Budapest? That's kind of what I'm forgetting.
Well, they take it back there. They're like, well, we got to, because they want to find a buyer for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, we need a place to store it while we find a buyer. So they put it in like the vault at the Grand Budapest.
Okay, yes. Well, basically, we find out that in the time while he was at prison, the Grand Budapest Hotel has kind of become like a barracks almost for troops.
Troops that are not the SS, but they're the SS.
Yes.
I love that.
Not SSSS.
They're not SS, but they're SS.
Yes. Which I know Wes Anderson spent a lot of time coming up with the design for the S's.
Yes.
S. And it was interesting. It's basically been coming, like I said, a barracks for all the soldiers. And this isn't bode well with Gustav, but kind of at this point, he doesn't really have control over the hotel because, well, first of all, it's taken over from the army, and also he's also a fugitive. Yes. So, but police kind of come after him to get him back while we try and extract this painting from the Grand Budapest Hotel, and basically, Zero's wife kind of runs away with it. I forget her character's name.
Yeah.
But anyways, she basically grabs the painting, tries to run with it.
Played by Saoirse Ronan.
She gets stopped.
Agatha.
Yes, she falls off a balcony and she's holding on, and the painting's kind of dangling there and all that jazz. Basically, Zero goes to try and save her and save the painting. He also fails. They fall off the balcony but land in like the kind of Mal bakery, like
at this point.
Yeah, they kind of land in like a truck and they're safe. And then basically we kind of cut to the dining hall where they're like, because the police are trying to figure out like who to arrest and whatnot and who's wrong. And basically they open up the back of the painting and there's this letter basically saying like, you know, in case I'm murdered.
That was the second will that they were talking about.
Yeah, basically Gustav gets everything. Gets nothing goes to Dimitri, and Dimitri just disappears because he's obviously, whatever. And I mean, there's lots of other things we're missing, like Jeff Goldblum gets killed by Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, that's such a clever shot with the fingers.
And
this movie, it could have been so much more gory. Like, there's quite a few places where they could have added a lot more gore to it, and I like that they didn't, because it kind of helps maintain that, like, kind of colorful, almost Fantasyland vibes.
Yes, and I actually wrote down some interesting things about that, because like I said, it's a bright world, but it's not really a bright story at all. And that's why I feel like maybe the way Zero's retelling the story isn't necessarily 100% right. You know what I mean?
Well, but it's also interesting though, because the bright spots are always the Grand Budapest. Yes. The Grand Budapest is like, bright, fun, well lit, pastel colors, and then everything else is a lot more drab. And it's very subtle. Like, you don't really notice it. Like, it feels like a natural progression, but it makes me wonder if, like you say, maybe it wasn't so, so good at the Grand Budapest, but it felt that way.
So the way I'm looking at it is how Zero retells the story is because, he says that line early at the start of the movie where he's like, who wouldn't want to work at like the Grand Budapest or whatever he says. He's like, it's the Grand Budapest or whatever. So I feel like since he held Gustav in such high regard and he held the hotel in such high regard and it was kind of like a fantasy land, I feel like the way he tells the story is bright and colorful like that is because it's his most fond period of his life. Yeah. And so everything's like bright, colorful, and dreamy. That's why I feel like it, like you said, it's kind of cartoony at the end. And I feel like it gets a little less believable because I feel like maybe it's like a over dramatization of what actually happened, right?
Or like, like what's the word for it? Like, when something's like really traumatic that you just like invent new ways.
Yes.
Like you just invent a different story in your head. It's almost like that. Like the first part is a bit believable, and then by the end he's just invented a whole new ending that isn't so. You know what I mean?
And so that's why I feel like maybe he's not as reliable as we'd like him to be, but that's why I justify it being so vibrant in there. It's like, oh, maybe it's because the hotel was really violent or was really vibrant one day. But also maybe it's because like the way we're hearing this from Zero is that like, hey, it's kind of like also very special to him, right?
Yeah. Well, and you also got to wonder, is it still on the tail end? Like near the end of that story, they were talking with Gustav and he was living in the past or something, and he'd managed to bring like those remnants of the past into, and I wonder if that's maybe part of it as well, that they're still kind of living in that remnant of bygone days,
Yeah.
And he kind of dragged Zero into it as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. We do find out at the end of the movie though that basically Gustav was killed by soldiers because he kind of stood up to defend for Zero when they like went after his visa and travel work documents and stuff like that. We find out that Zero's wife and child died just a few years later. And so now he's back to Zero, but he has the hotel and he's rich, right?
Yep.
And then, kind of a really sad story.
Yep. But it doesn't feel sad along the way.
Exactly.
It's really only when you stop and think about it, you realize like, oh, that wasn't a happy story.
Yeah, and the way he tells it too, it's like he's completely disassociated because he goes, yeah, they died shortly after that. Well, like, died of the flu or whatever, and he goes like that. And like, and then he's like, yeah. And then Monsieur Gustave, he died. He was shot shortly later. Like really? That's it's just like we followed Gustave throughout the whole film, and this is how that ended.
It's not a great cinematic send off.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's just they died.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I was like, oh, that's kind of sad. Basically, that's like the end of the movie, really. Like, we kind of, whatever, part ways. Zero heads to bed in the hotel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Interesting, kind of how like, oh, we've, you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of like we've learned so much, but it doesn't really kind of move forward from there. You know what I mean? There's no like passing of the torch to someone else for the Grand Budapest. It almost seems like it's actually gonna die. There's no. It almost feels like there's no like redemption for the hotel itself.
I feel like this could be the setting for The Shining in 40 years after the end of the hotel, after the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Gustav becomes the hotel, like the whatchamacallit, sentience of the hotel.
Yeah, the hotel's alive.
Yeah. Grand Budapest Hotel 2.
What else? I have some trivia.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so The Boy with Apple Painting took 4 months to make. A painting.
How much it cost?
So I tried looking it up. Couldn't figure that out. There was no price value, other than it's not priceless, is what they said, because it's not. You know what I mean? It was just like a painter was hired to make it. I couldn't figure out like how much they actually paid, but it's in Wes Anderson's office in London right now.
Oh, cool.
Like just like by his desk. I think it was London, and it's just there, chilling. So not as priceless as you'd like to believe. It was made for this film. But it's there. Where they shot this in Germany, the hotel owner, the hotel they were shooting at, worked as an extra. He works like the front desk as an extra, right? And so after filming some of the days where like cast and crew were staying at the hotel, they would like go and check in at the front desk, and the person who was the extra working the front desk was also just working the front desk because this is the owner at certain points, right? And so pretty cool story.
Yeah.
I hope there's truth to that. That was on IMDb from like cast and crew, so hopefully that's believable. I did talk about how it's Wes Anderson's highest grossing film. It's not my like necessarily favorite Wes Anderson film, but like it's a good one. I enjoy it.
I think this film is so unique, and Wes Anderson's shooting style is so unique, and this one is just a perfect example of how unique it is. I mean, I don't think there's a single like 45-degree shot in this entire thing. Like it's all 90-degree angles to the person, and like every single shot is either static, or if it moves, it's a pan, like a whip pan generally, or it's tracking left or right or in and out.
Yeah, let's track.
It's basically one of those few things.
Yeah.
I was watching it, I was trying to take note of, are there any over the shoulder shots that are like, or any like those standard conversation things, and there's nothing like that really. And it's just so weird, and yet it really fits with the vibe of the movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say the vibe almost feels pretentious, almost like the
definitely.
Hotel feels very pretentious.
Well,
Everything
Gustav
feels,
as a character is very pretentious, and I mean that's kind of part of that time.
Yeah, random poetry and stuff like that.
Well, even just like the way he treats people, and it's not like he treats them badly, but he just has that air of grand pompousness about it, kind of in a way.
I think the colors match that.
The colors match it too,
and I think that's good thematically.
Yeah, and like even just like the purple uniforms, like it feels very like royal and like. Yeah,
to me that also feels kind of cartoony too. Like most of that just feels like, oh, like this isn't necessarily real. Like it doesn't. None of it feels super real. And I mean that might hurt it for some people. It doesn't hurt
I don't think
it for me.
Like though.
It's just like. You know what I mean?
The movies we watch aren't real.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It just definitely.
If it's real, it's a documentary.
It does. It feels so vibrant that it does feel almost cartoonish or more fictional, right?
Yeah.
And I think you made a good point using the word cartoonish, because I definitely I can see that. What was I going to say? 8 Marvel actors. There's 8 Marvel actors in here. Yeah. Bill Murray, right? The guy who plays Zero. Like Flash Thompson. Whoever Bill Murray played in Ant-Man.
Bill Murray played somebody in Ant-Man?
Yeah, Ant-Man 3. He played like.
Okay, so that doesn't count.
A guy in the weird multiverse thing, Sub-Zero particle.
That's Ant-Man 3. I don't like those movies.
Yes. There's 8. What am I missing? There's a lot more. What's his name? The Hulk. Edward Norton's in it. Yeah. Who else? Oh, the girl who played the Doctor Strange person. like the I forget her name. You know, Doctor Strange.
Oh, like the bald one?
Yeah. Who else? Who else? Who are we missing?
I don't know. You're the one. With
Owen
the facts.
Wilson. Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson.
He
Yeah.
plays Mobius or whatever in Loki. I'm missing three more. I thought I could name them all off. Oh, Jeff Goldblum. He plays not the Collector. He plays like the weird guy on that planet in Thor Ragnarok, where he's like, he like leads the arena and shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Oh, who else am I missing? Oh, Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin. That's 7.
Yeah.
I'm missing one more. Who is the 8th one? No, who was the 8th one? Oh no, Marvel actors in Grand Budapest Hotel. I have to know. I really have to know. Jude Law.
Who did Jude? Oh, Jude. Who did Jude Law play?
He played the freaking guy in Captain Marvel. He played like the kind of bad guy in Captain Marvel. Like, you know that guy? Yeah, he technically did become the bad guy. Yeah, he was a good guy at first, and then, yeah. Okay, so that's the 8. I got 7 out of 8. That was close enough. I didn't get like Tilda Swinton. She played like the bald lady.
Find
What was her name? She was like the all-knowing lady in Doctor Strange, like the sorcerer.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
Sorcerer Supreme or whatever.
Yeah, the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's cool. 8 Marvel actors, kind of a fun fact. Most of these guys actually weren't Marvel actors though, if you think about it, because this came out before the one dude played Flash Thompson. Technically, I mean, Willem Dafoe wasn't MCU, but he had been Marvel at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Owen Wilson wasn't in it yet. He wasn't Mobius yet, right? And so, I don't even think Captain Marvel was out. Was Captain Marvel out? No. So
2014 Captain Marvel was not out.
Jude Law wasn't even Marvel yet. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys weren't actually Marvel yet. Actually, technically, knowing Marvel, they were all probably already signed in 2009.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's true.
2009, they were signed.
They probably signed Tom Holland the year he was born.
Yes, probably. Yeah. What else is there?
What was I gonna say? I love the hotel. Whatchamacallit, like where they like. I can't remember the name of it. It's like the organization of like the hotel organization, when they like need help and they call and it's like, get me so and so at the whatever hotel. There's that whole sequence of them phoning each other.
Oh yeah, the concierge just like calling each other.
I love that sequence. That feels very like cartoon superhero intro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I don't know. That was a nice little thing that I noticed.
I agree. I wrote 0 becomes 0 again, but
yes.
Maybe that's incorrect because he still has the hotel and maybe he has technically a new friend now.
Well, but it's also kind of like one of those things where like, does he really have anything though? Because I mean, like the hotel, this whole thing is kind of, like we were saying, is the hotel really is what it seems? Like, is it really as good as what it seems? And so he loses everything except the hotel. But is that really worth everything he lost?
It's rags to riches, but again, he doesn't seem rich or at least frankly happy with it at all. Yeah, it's very interesting. But again, he reflects almost positively on the whole thing.
It's a weird thing.
It's like, whoa, what?
Like, so maybe in his mind, then it begs the question, is rags to riches like a personal thing? Like, if he's personally happy with it or satisfied, then, you know?
Yeah. My brain hurts.
Yeah.
What else do I have? I thought the cinematography obviously is fantastic.
Did this win any Oscars? I feel like production
4.
design, cinematography probably.
Probably. I think it won 4 Oscars, but yeah, it's definitely fun to watch. Like, even though you're watching a tragedy almost, it's still fun to watch. And I feel like that's an interesting thing to do and definitely an interesting perspective to take on what could easily have been like a really sad drama about like a buddy comedy or something that turns really sad. But no, instead it's like, it's sad, but it keeps color throughout until I guess like, there's Nazis or whatever, but
Okay,
like,
so let's see. It was where's the actual winning? These are all the nominations. Okay, here we go. It was nominated for Best Picture. This is all 2015. It was nominated for Best Achievement in Directing, nominated for Best Achievement in Cinematography, nominated for Film Editing. It won Costume Design, Makeup and Hairstyle, Original Score,
score, yeah.
Production Design, and Screenplay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I would have liked to have seen it won cinematography. I don't know what it was up against that year, but I mean, I think it's just so unique and it fits the story so well. Like, you want to talk adapting the cinematography to the story you're trying to tell. I think this is a perfect example of that.
Sure, especially if you're trying to make the hotel feel illustrious and big, grand, and exciting. And I feel like, it does a good job. And then it helps kind of, in my opinion, with the whole idea that that Zero is disassociated from it all. Because, again, he's kind of like, they died, kind of sad. The hotel's kind of sad now. But here we are. You want to have, like, steak or whatever they have. Some kind of pork, maybe. Like, I don't know what they have. But, crazy.
There was a couple. There was another scene. There was a couple ones where they used it when they're going up and down the ski lifts. Going to the monastery, and it's kind of like CGI'd when they go the way they go up and down. And I was reading a review about it, and it was the Roger Ebert review, and he said. Or was it? He was talking about that specific scene, and he said it was a reference to like a 1940s thing. One of my favorites, he's talking about the references. One of my favorites is a cable car sequence nodding to Carol Reed's 1940 thriller Night Train to Munich. Have you watched that? Because I haven't, and I want to just...
It's my top 3 film of the 1940s.
Because it was probably one of the only 3 films made in the 1940s. No, I was curious if you'd heard of that, because, like, I think there was probably a lot more references in there that we missed, but I don't know.
Yeah. That one, hate to say it, went over my head.
It sounds familiar, but I don't know. Anyway, I just like the
the cult classic everyone's been talking about. Yeah.
But no, like some of those little special effects scenes, and then the skiing when they're going down the hill, it's kind of goofy in a way. Like it's like, when Willem Dafoe's skiing and they're chasing him.
It looks animated.
Oh, it is definitely. It almost looks stop motion in a way.
It'd be interesting to see how they did that.
I don't know. I kind of find it funny, and it works.
Again, the animated look.
No.
The color scheme. Is it real?
Yeah.
Was the hotel ever that like luxurious, or was that also made up?
Was that just like a dingy inn on the middle of the road?
I guess we'll never know.
No.
Maybe let's rate it. Let's talk about it. Or do you have anything you particularly like or dislike or anything?
Well, like I said, I think it is an odd story, and if you shot this film with conventional styles of cinematography and design and everything, it would be a huge flop.
Sure.
But I think when you take a story like this and you throw Wes Anderson's directing on it and all the little things that he does, I think it works. And I think it's really creative and unique, and I think that's an important thing to encourage. And there's like, little things where I think it's just kind of odd or doesn't make sense sometimes, some of the little things and little choices, but nothing huge.
Yeah. For me, the cinematography is fantastic. The acting is great too. I think all the performances are really stellar.
Gustav H is probably my favorite character, and he does a fantastic performance as him. Like, he just nails the mannerisms and everything. And even though the physical acting in relation to the cameras, it feels like the physical acting matches the camera movements, where it's very robotic and 90-degree angles, and precise.
Yes. I think precise is a good way of looking at it too. Kind of like how Gustav managed the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Very precise.
Yeah.
Very. I don't know. That's kind of like his character, but also that's just kind of the directing style of Wes Anderson is very. What's the word I'm looking for? Very. Not even planned, just very particular and like. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Thought about.
Well, and I mean, like, if the whip pan isn't to exactly 90 degrees, then he will redo the shot again. You know?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's kind of like all I had to say.
Yeah, let's
honestly.
rate it.
For me, probably 8 out of 10, maybe 8.5. Honestly,
I'm gonna give it a 7.8.
7.8. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
We should scratch off the list, the thingy mobile.
The poster.
Top 100
Poster
movies.
Academy.
Last week we did The Big Lebowski. We didn't scratch it off during our episode.
Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, you scratch. Grand Budapest Hotel. Do you want to guess what it is? My guess is it's a cupcake.
Yeah, probably the box or a bottle of perfume.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Or panache or whatever it's called. Okay, hold on. It's not working.
Was that right?
It's this. I think it's the symbol for the. I'm gonna use one of my.
It's the SS symbol. No.
That would not be good.
Oh,
it's crossed keys.
oh,
Isn't that the
Yeah.
symbol for that like hotel?
Alicia keys, yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Cool.
Nothing. It's fine. Oh, that's cool. I like that. All right. Well, that's the Grand
Hold up.
Budapest Hotel. Sorry.
Hold it up.
Oh, sorry, to the camera.
Yeah.
That's the Grand Budapest Hotel. Thank you guys for watching the viewing room. I'm Ethan.
We haven't done this in a while. I'm Adam.
And you just watched the view. I guess that's what I just said.
Yeah, you just said that.
Yeah. Have a great day. Bye.